We shall prove the second theorem in the elementary case of a pure exchange economy. The proof is substantially the same in the case of a production economy. It is only more complicated, and so substantial passages of the proof are the same. So consider a pure exchange economy which we can represent by the usual algebra box. Substantially, I am repeating initial consideration, but by adding some supplementary element. First, remember, if you are in equilibrium, the equilibrium allocation, say X star, is a Pareto optimum, weak or strong, according to the properties of a preference relation. The second theorem lets us the following. Take any Pareto optimum X, like these. Under some conditions, a very strong condition, however, you can decentralize, so to speak, this Pareto optimum. In other terms, you can modify the initial endowments by passing from omega to omega prime, and then by letting our subject exchange the equilibrium allocation, which results from this alternative set of initial endowments, is exactly the Pareto optimum we are in search for. I told you in the introductive part, what is the economic meaning of this result. Do not interfere in the working of a market economy. If there are some distributional problems, resolve it simply by changing the initial endowments, and then let the subject exchange without interference by the public authority. So, well, non-interventionist point of view in economy. However, the difficulty with this second result is the following. Not always this procedure gives the desired result. And the example I made in the introductory part can be here repeated. This is the indifferent school of subject 1. But this is the different school of subject 2. Remember, 1 and 2. Clearly, what is the price system according to which X is chosen by subject 1 after suitable redistribution of resources? Clearly, is D. Because if this is the budget constraint of our first subject, note that X is the optimal point in this budget constraint. But if you consider the situation of subject 2, this is not true, because in his budget constraint, X is not the optimal point, as I showed in the introductory part. X is a point of tangents between an indifference curve and the budget line, but it is in reality a minimum of utility or preference in the budget constraint, not the maximum. So, in other terms, this point cannot be decentralized in the previous manner. However, you redistribute the initial resources by passing from the original omega to, for example, this omega prime, and you let this change decided X does not result as an equilibrium allocation. Clearly, it is necessary to introduce some particular properties about preference relations and also production set, of course, in the general case. Substantially, here, while the preferences of the first subject are convex, the preferences of the second subject are not convex. It is convexity which is lacking in this case. We must introduce convexity in order to prove the second theorem of welfare equals, but not all convexity. And some other properties to introduce. Without them, the theorem does not work. So, the second theorem is a very, very difficult theorem, which is based on very, very strong properties of preference relation and production sets. Its relevance is noticeable for the non-interventionist point of view, but in reality, the conditions of the theorem are seldom satisfied. So it is important to distinguish between the first and the second theorem. Second theorem holds only in very, very restrictive situations. If this theorem does not hold, the Pareto optimum X cannot be attained by means of market forces. We must use some other device in order to let the economy in the hand is in the point X. So there is need of some public intervention to guarantee that X is the final result of a working of the economy. Because it is not possible to obtain it as an equilibrium allocation. Is it clear? Well, in the following and last lesson, we shall prove this second theorem.